Here we've got Devon's Freestyle underwater video. As we see right there off the start, he is incredibly deep. We want to make sure that we're probably about half as deep as that off the start. As we move you a little bit forward, you're having to come up real early, break out as early right there. Getting a good extension on that side, awesome angle of what we're looking at underneath the water. Big thing, what we're looking at right here with that hand is it is crossing over, getting to that other side. You want to make sure that your right hand will stay on that right hand side of your body, and then your left hand stays on that left hand. That's going to be just by that pop in that elbow. As you're extending on that left arm right out there, you're kind of going at more of a downward angle versus extending forward a little bit more. Make sure you're extending forward. I know that might be the elbow that you've kind of screwed up, so it might be a little bit harder right now to move it in the desired action, but big thing, think about always extending forward just right underneath the surface here versus where you're at right now. Once you get that full extension out there, make sure you're rotating that elbow over so that you can get into that high elbow catch position. And again, I realize it might be a little bit hard right now given the breaking your elbow, but just something to think about as you finally get back into the swing of things. As we look into that extension out in front, doing a pretty good job of extending here on that right arm as we look into this section right there. But the big thing you're doing is you are pressing straight down on that water without even rotating that elbow up. So make sure you rotate that elbow up so then your hand can actually start pressing down here, and then you can push straight back on that water that way. And get you moving a little bit further more, doing a little bit better extending through here. That's right at the point where you want to be as you're extending up in front, and then make sure roll that elbow over, make sure it's nice and high, so then you can start pressing that hand down a little bit, and then once you've got that hand pressed down, then you can start moving that forearm down to then be able to push straight backwards. And look at you moving, very good body rotation, awesome solid kick as we got going on there. Not a whole lot I'd like to see out of changing out of your movement, just really thinking about popping that elbow and getting that high elbow catch in. Very nice job. Alrighty, here we have Devon with the above view angle of his freestyle. Big thing I know we're going to see right off the bat on Devon's start is kind of the lack of a push. And so we want to make sure as you're getting to going through your workouts, whether you're doing some dry land, some weight training, really think about trying to explode through your legs so that you can transfer that strength and that explosiveness over to your start. I know you're a bigger guy and we're kind of going off of the small blocks here. You would have rather been on the brand new red Carthage starting blocks, but either way you still got to be able to really get that leg press. So I'm going to go ahead and let the video get started here, so let's watch and kind of see how things are going. As we kind of look at that start as well, that's a pretty good angle as we're going in. Okay. Big thing I'd like to see out of you is probably actually leaning forward a little bit more on that start. You're kind of setting back. As we move forward, you got a little bit of arm usage, but not a whole lot. If you lean way out above or out in front of that block, you're going to actually be able to start yourself a little bit quicker, so then you can get out in front a little bit. As you see your movement here, you're starting to lift up with that chest a little bit. I think if you're actually on that bigger block, you're going to be able to kind of non-compact yourself nearly as much, so then you're not lifting up with that chest, but you're kind of going out real high. I'd like to see you try and actually keep things a little bit lower. Your hips are real high right there. I want to see if you can kind of actually get yourself to go out more versus the arcing motion that you've got right now. As we go in real deep there at the start, we want to make sure that you are getting out there a little bit further. I absolutely love your stroke. You've got an awesome kick going on right back there, which I know as much as you hate to hear it, you're actually going to be a really good distance swimmer. But don't worry about that. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a distance swimmer for life. You've got that ability if you can keep that aerobic training up, keep your mechanics there, that once you start to get a little bit older, start to get some muscle to you, you're going to be able to actually pick up some of that speed. Does that mean you're going to be a 50 sprinter? Maybe, maybe not, but I think honestly with the stroke you've got going on, with the speed of your kick, you might be, if you pack on enough weight as you get into, say maybe your senior year of high school, as you maybe move on to college, you might end up being a really good 100, 200, 500 guy. That's actually a pretty good lineup as you go into that college setup. We're going to switch over to moving into slow motion here, so I want to make sure that as you're starting to tuck your head onto that turn, you're also thinking about tucking those legs up real quick. You can tuck them up just a little bit sooner as we're going through that turn. That way you're actually going to be able to get yourself around that turn. See, right about here, your feet should already be tucked up so that you can get them over. They come back a little bit sooner, and then you've got this massive gap right there in between your heels and your rear end. So make sure, close that gap. Get your heels as close to your rear end as possible. That way you're going to turn as close to being in a position of a ball. So you're going to be able to spin a heck of a lot faster. Awesome streamline underneath. As we look at that stroke, big thing, as you get your catch to be right there, make sure you're pushing as far back as hard as you can, so that you can make that stroke a lot more powerful. Some of that will just come with a little bit of age, getting a little bit stronger. Some of that just means you got to really think about what you're doing as you're swimming and getting into that high elbow catch phase. We'll be able to see a little bit more on that underwater view with how your catch is underneath the water, but above the water with that kick and your length, I think you got a really good stroke. You definitely need to work on getting on that side, because if you look at yourself right here, yeah, you're pretty much right on that stomach for that finish. So make sure, get on that side so you can utilize your height, your length a little bit more. That way you're going to end up being able to finish just a little bit quicker than maybe somebody next to you who doesn't decide to finish on their side. Nice job, Devon.